and something we're looking forward to. Listen, you want to play against the best teams and you want to come up and play in them sorts of games, and they're fantastic games for us. But yeah, I did notice our name up there for them too. Yeah.
But if you look at them and you think, City have it easy. Yeah, they do slightly, but Leeds away, Wolves away, West Ham away, far from easy fixtures. Tough. And the thing is, everybody's got something to play for, whether you're trying to stay up or. And I just think for Liverpool, look, they're tough fixtures, but pretty much in every game they're the favourite. You expect them to win. So who knows what's going to give? And Conor makes a great point. That, FA Cup, Champions League. On every front, they're the favourites. The two best teams, not only in the Premier League, they're the two best teams in the world. They're bigger than Real Madrid, they're bigger than Barcelona. What a credit to the Premier League that we have the two best teams to watch in Europe. And the two best managers as well. It's great, isn't it? Okay. So after today's match, who wins it for you guys? 7 games to go. Can you call it?
I don't think you can call it. I think you'd be daft to call it now. I think if we're looking at it now, I think Man City are top. So you've got to look at Manchester City because there's 7 games to go and they've probably got through the biggest game that they've had coming up now, and they're points and they're still at the top of the table. So you look at that, but you can't call it. You really can't, because as we've mentioned plenty of times here now, 2 incredible football teams who will go to the end. And by the way, I think I agree with Nigel as well. I think there'll be a few twists and turns. I don't think it'll just be as straightforward as you go and win every game. I hope it's not, because we're playing them. So, but listen, 2 incredible teams. I don't think you call it. I think it's too tough to call. Yeah.
What do you think, Owen? Yeah, I'm the same. I think sometimes when you play teams for City, you think about the Brighton, Watfords. In a way, they're harder. I think, because you're expected to win those games. And I think if you're not at your best, sometimes you saw the game today. Everyone's up for it. The standard of the football was off the charts. I think both teams are going to drop points along the way. The biggest question is who's going to drop the most. So basically, neither of you have actually answered my question. Both sitting on the fence. Steve, what about on the ground there? Which way is this title race going?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? When you speak to anyone at the Etihad, it's what everyone was talking about today. I just wonder, it's interesting to hear the two boys there, but are we in any way, shape or form looking at it differently with just one big game chalked off? I know there's still a point difference with 1 game to go. Frame of mind-wise, what do you think?
I think so. I think Manchester City have probably got a better chance now than they had before the game.
Why?
Because this was the big one. This is the one that they could lose, and obviously it wouldn't be in their hands anymore. I think now, with those set of fixtures that we've just seen him and the guys talking about, I think that Manchester City's position has strengthened at the top of the league. Despite them not going any further clear, I just think getting that one out the way and not losing it, all of a sudden now I think their running looks a whole lot easier, and I'd say that they're looking stronger favourites than what they were before the game.
Interesting. What do you think?
Yeah, of course. I think City is by far the favourite now. After this game has been played, 1 point out of the game. This game, you can scratch this one off, and of course, it's all about the next 2 or 3 games that are coming. But I really think, and I think I agree with Owen in the studio as well, is that they're not going to win all their games. I think really there is still some up to it, and we've seen it also previous before that. There's still 7 games to go, and to win all 7 games is so hard because they're also in different competitions. So in order to do that, and also to stay in the Champions League, for example, as we all know, especially City wants to win that after the disappointment against Chelsea in the final. It is really hard just to maintain it. So I think both teams will drop points. It's just a matter of the fact who's going to drop the most points. So and especially the first 2 games, I think City playing home twice is a big advantage.
Just the simple maths would say every time you chalk 1 more game off, then whoever's at the top would strengthen their grip on the title, wouldn't they? I mean, if there was 30 games to go, you'd say, wow, lots of things. But the less and less it goes, it's 7 or 8 games, now 7, and then it's going to be 6, and all of a sudden, if it stays like that, then City are just going to get stronger and stronger favourites. So,
if you look at the list, if you look at Liverpool's list, to which opponent do you think they will have the most difficulties?
It was interesting to hear Jurgen Klopp, wasn't it, about United and Everton, because on paper, no matter what the form is,
you got Villa away.
Even the manager's saying, listen, that's their game of the season, United and Everton.
It is. I don't see any gimmies there for Liverpool. I really don't. I think every one of Liverpool's games are tough. And whereas Manchester City, I think they've got 3 or 4 gimmies, especially their home games. Away at Leeds, they're just too good for Leeds. I think Wolves and West Ham are their toughest games, but I can see them winning every other one of those games. And as I say, I think Liverpool have got tough ones in. All of those are tough for Liverpool.
I know, obviously, we've heard from Connor who's got to play them both. Can I just point one fixture out as well that they both have to play? Aston Villa, managed by Steven Gerrard, who brings his team here at the Etihad on the final day. He couldn't, could he?
He could. If it's still going by then, he could. Yeah, I mean, you might see him change his title to player manager before that game, get his boots on. You never know. And Aston Villa are a strong side, of course, but in general, I think those fixtures definitely favour City.
That would be something. That would definitely be something. Just imagine that. But obviously, Liverpool has to play Aston Villa before City plays Aston Villa as well. So I'm gonna be it's gonna be curious how hard he will go and set his team up against Liverpool as well, just to go all in. But that being said, they have to go all the way. It doesn't really matter which opponent you get. You need to win your games, and that's what we've seen today. The two best teams out there in the Premier League try to go for the 3 points. Obviously, they split the points today, and it's going to be curious for me to see the first two games. I think that is the really the most important two games that is in this fixture list from both teams.
It was really interesting to hear Jurgen Klopp go back to years gone by and the fine margins. When we look back at today as well, and the chances the teams had, City in particular, that's the fine.
He certainly could have, yeah. I mean, he hits the outside of the post with this free kick. It looks as if it's going wide here, but he's got plenty of bent over. It must have been deflected. I'm not sure if it did. Yeah,
I think it was a deflection.
But that was a massive chance, and obviously there would have been no chance for Liverpool to come back if that had gone in. So I think on balance of chances, if one of the teams deserved to win today, I thought City shaded it, especially on chances.
And from Liverpool in front of goal, what did you think?
I thought they were reasonably clinical. I don't think they missed too many chances. Sadio Mane's finish was a good one. I actually thought it was quite similar to Raheem Sterling's first chance. I thought if Sterling had lifted it like Mane did, then they would have been 1-0 up straight away in the game.
This was incredible, wasn't it?
This was incredible, yeah. And when you're at the other end of the stadium, you're thinking, is it over the line? Are you watching the referee to see if he's looking at his watch? But cool as you like, eh?
Wow, that's typical Ederson. He's always doing the most, and then keeps so calm in the decision making. But this one as well, I think when we see this situation right there with Liverpool, I thought it was a goal because Jota went straight on. So it was great defending here as well. I mean, second half they started.
Right foot there.
Yeah,
I thought he could have taken it
a right foot. Yeah. You tell me.
Because I was right footed,
yeah, exactly.
But I don't blame Jota. But yes, Liverpool had chances. We were right behind that goal. That was going right in the corner. You can see the reaction of the Liverpool players. But looking at those chances compared to the City ones, you have to say City had the better of them.
So give us an idea when you're going for a title and you're at this stage of the season now, 7 games to go, psychologically, and as you rightly say, trying to combine two other trophies as well, particularly the obsession round here with the Champions League.
Yeah, it's really hard, of course. That's the reason why you have a big squad. You rotate. We were discussing before this game of who's going to start up front, and we were all wrong. So that says something also about the mindset that these coaches have. They have to have a big squad and rotation. But we all know in the back of the mind, Champions League is the number one trophy for them to win it, especially after the disappointment in the final against Chelsea. So it's really hard to stay composure because obvious today was also a big game, and you want to win the Premier League with 7 games to go. But yeah, you have to rotate. You have to find a way that everybody stays on the same page. Everybody has the same energy and intensity, and don't lose the focus, because the focus is still win the Premier League, but also win the Champions League. Because I think, really, if I'm honest, I think the bigger disappointment will be not winning the Champions League this year. I think really
even having been 14 points ahead in the Premier League?
I'm not saying that. I thought, of course, you want to win the Premier League always, but the Champions League is still the one that everybody wants here in City. You can sense it every time they play the Champions League. It's that urge to win it as well. So, they're now in the knockout stages and in the quarterfinal. So yeah, they just urge to find that right balance to go to the semis and then the final because of the disappointment. So. Nevertheless, it's going to be a disappointment. I think the main focus is on the Champions League,
and that could still play a part in both teams, not just City, with these huge European nights still to come.
Huge games. I think based on both squads there, virtually everybody's fit in both squads. So, rotation and things like that will come into it. They don't have to keep playing the same players. And I've often said, with Manchester City's You know, track record, Liverpool's track record. Liverpool have been there and done it in Europe. Manchester City have been there and done it in the Premier League for so many years, but they've never lifted that European Cup. And Liverpool have only lifted this trophy once. So I think if you had them together and asked them to shake hands on Liverpool winning this and City winning the Champions League, I think they would probably shake hands and said, deal done. But it's not going to play out like that, and we'll see who can... maybe they'll get greedy and try to win both.
Well, listen, if from a neutral point of view, we see a Champions League final between these two to this intensity, they could produce one of the finals in history, couldn't they?
They could, but please no. to have Liverpool in the Champions League final again, especially with the experience that they already had, but because of winning it, and of course City losing it, being on the other side of it, please no. But it could be. It could be. I mean, the two best teams in the Premier League, but in the world right now, with the two best managers in the world as well. So it could go head-to-head till the end.
They both don't want to play each other again. They're so vulnerable. They're vulnerable against each other. They both know that they're a step ahead of everybody at the moment, and they want to avoid each other at all costs. So yeah, they will definitely be wanting to avoid each other. But if they have to do it in the final of the Champions League, they're going to do it. But as I say, I think Pep Guardiola and Jurgen Klopp are both desperate to avoid each other at all costs.
It's just absolutely brilliant for all of us to see two teams at this standard like we've seen today, isn't it?
It is. We thought it before the game. In fact, we knew it before the game. But sometimes they don't always, deliver like that first half in particular did today. It was sensational. Nigel, great to see you. Thank you indeed for your company. Michael, as always, we started off talking about this. There was 1 point between them. There's still 1 point between them with one game less to go. It didn't disappoint.